Night Hunter, which is a preposterously terrible thriller
excellent.
with an A-list cast who, honestly, I spent the whole film thinking, why are you here? What on earth has led you to this? So it's Henry Cavill is Marshall, who is on the trail of a psycho who kidnaps and imprisons women. And in the course of his doing it, he has to team up with a vigilante. It was also hunting these people, played by Sir Ben Kingsley. And so essentially it's Superman and the Hood in a remake of the last scene from Silence of the Lambs, except it's not that good. Here's a clip.
We hacked his server. He was talking to someone called Hunter. Hunter 71.
Explosive in the car was pentyrethyritol tetranitrate, commonly used. However, the compounds in the trigger are unique. High intensity, stable, low surrounding impact, and dense. Expensive. Military grade.
Simon said that Santa comes and drops money off at the house every year. Maybe Santa pays the bomb maker.
Run a search for military personnel in the state, born 1971.
Okay, which one of those are trained in explosives?
No longer in service?
And literally that scene goes, okay, there's a million people this could be. Do that, do that, do that. There he is. Anyway, let's go there now. I mean, the investigations lead them to Simon, played by Brendan Fletcher, who has clearly been told, look, what we want you to do is a cross between the character out from Mice and Men, Verbal out of the Usual Suspects, but also could you just basically ramp up the drooling, the gibbering, the eye rolling, the kind of the over the top, inappropriate motion action, so that basically you've created this preposterous caricature of a person about whom psychologists and people in the know can say, I think there may be more to him than this. It's almost as if, he's like two different people. I want, and somebody must have gone out and said, do you see that Primal Fear? Is that out of copyright? Yeah, right. Hey, come over here. Watch Primal Fear. Get him to do that bit out of the thing, and Sir Ben Kingsley does the thing that Sir Ben Kingsley does, which is, I always said the thing about what Richard Gere's primary thing is that he blinks, drops his head, and he exhales, okay? Ben Kingsley's thing has now become the slightly wide-eyed stare and the weirdly punctuated sentence. So pass me that email, okay? This is Sir Ben Kingsley reads an email. My name is Emmy Short for Emil. Zola, I am 12 years old film geek. And you go, what are you... are you reading it off cue cards that you can't see? Is somebody keep walking in front of the thing? So his whole performance is literally, I would say that Toy Story 4 is my favourite of the Toy Story. I'll just drive a bus through that pause. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast, and again, I said, proper A-list cast, Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci is playing the commissioner, whose job it is to come in and bang the table and say, I want this in court now. I want this in court now. I want this in court now. While somebody else scratches their chin and says, I think there may be more to this than meets the eye. I don't care. I want this in court now because I saw Primal Fear. And incidentally, we've only got Henry Cavill for another day. The other thing,
a great cast, by the way. You go and see it.
I know, it's completely nuts. And in the days when there was such a thing as a straight-to-video movie, this would have been a straight-to-video movie. And when I was doing the Sight and Sound video column, believe me, this would have been the one that we reviewed at the end of the month after we'd done all the Greg Dark, Alexander Gregory, Hippolyte, Delia Shepard, Shannon Tweed movies. This would have been the one. And finally, you won't believe, there was a film that came out after Silence of the Lambs called Slaughter of the Innocent, which was... Somebody had seen Silence of the Lambs and said, well, let's do something like that, but let's make it nasty. The weird thing about this film is I think it does have a nasty edge. I think it's kind of leering in a way which is very, very problematic. The performances are just either the Henry Cavill absolute wardrobe, flat-packed, panelled performance, or this central performance of the character who is mysterious, which is so ludicrously over the top that it appears to have been dropped in from a completely different film. I think what happened was... There must be some explanation for this other than the script in the film. Nobody read this script and rang their agent and said, I just read this script and I think it's really powerful and original and I need you to get me on this. Who else is doing it? Henry Cavill's doing it. Okay, well, I want the second banana to Henry Cavill. Oh, Stanley Tucci's on. Okay, well, I'll play the third banana. Oh, that's taken as well. Okay, well, in fact, I want to be fourth banana in the film that's a little bit like Slaughter of the Lambs, Primal Fear, Usual Suspects, and then the thing with the... And I can do that.
Is that Woody Allen? I'm looking forward to it.
Honestly, it is... And I'm not the only person in this office that's seen it. It is terrible.